Alright, so today's video is, as you can see, about the RKG3 anti-vehicle, anti-tank hand grenade, Russian design. I think this one here is the EM version, the later one. I can't be too sure about it because information, I haven't really gotten too far into looking up the differences in the models. I know it's not the original one, and this one's dated 1968. At least I think that's what that one is. This, if you could read it, I think means practice. So I guess I have to get rid of the whole, obviously no explosives are in this, nothing but mechanical, I guess, pieces. So you get to see how it works, but I don't have any, you're not going to see me throw it, is basically what you're going to get out of this. And that's mainly because I don't want to destroy it. I've seen, and it looks like somebody's already thrown it because it's not quite in perfect condition, as you can see. So someone's messed with it. Apart from that, all the pieces are here. That lets me show you how it works. So we'll get right onto it. First off, this is a hand-thrown hand grenade. You've seen it in videos, a lot of them from Iraq, because you see people throwing it at American Humvees and stuff like that. You've also seen it recently. I've seen some videos of Ukrainians practicing with it. I don't know if it was from 2014 or now, the current battle. You've also seen it used in basically its role as a drone dropped munition, which you'll see basically this part here is all that's being used, along with the tail assembly. So what we'll do is screw it back together and give a basics of how this thing functions. Alright, so to start off with, when you're throwing this, there are 4 safeties involved. 1, you're holding on to it, obviously. The second safety is that without the pin pulled, you don't have to worry about it falling apart or arming. And we'll do that. So we'll pull the pin here. Alright, at this point, because you're holding it, nothing's going to happen. I let go of it, nothing's going to happen either. The reason for that is because this portion here has a spring in it. So that is your next safety device on it. So if you're holding it, you'll see I'm going to pull. See how it moves? When you go to throw one of these things, the weight from the front of it tries to pull this off, obviously, and that will pull enough that the handle here will be able to disengage. Well, not the handle itself, but the little safety you see on this. So when you're holding on to it, you're holding it like this, and at that point you throw it as hard as you can, obviously, trying to hit a tank with it. So when you're throwing it, you're squeezing here, and you see how it just popped. So at this point, you now don't have a safety on it anymore. Once you let go of this, well, you're already throwing it, so you're going to be letting go. But now it's going to be free to pop the cap off the back, and which will also release the last of the safeties on it, because as of right now, you're still safe with the thing. So the handle pops off. I'll try to make it more visible. So the handle popped off, the drogue chute comes out, And at this point, with a chute like that, your munition is completely armed. Now all that's necessary is for the round to hit a tank, and then the firing sequence will set off the shaped charge that's here, which will obviously damage the tank that you're throwing it at. So as it's going through the air, obviously the parachute's being caught in the wind, which keeps it pointed in the right direction. Now this is all separated, I could actually get to the next part of this whole thing and to show you how that last safety works. When you're arming this, before you get it, well, once you get it, you have to open this up and put a blasting cap with the primer in there. So, and then screw it back on, and then you could throw it. So these things here don't have the detonator, I guess, in it right away. Part that I don't have in this one here is basically the piece that goes in here that the blasting cap goes into. I'm thinking it's considered a booster, but there's supposed to be an actual piece in there to show you how it looks. This one didn't come with it, so that'll go there. You can see more now how much. It's a spring on that. And here is a container where you're supposed to have your fuse. So I could remove that too, which will release the spring, and you'll be able to see what it looks like too underneath. So this is where the fuse is. And you got your washer that goes around here. And you can sort of look down that. As you see, this whole thing goes in. That's going to be important after. And you don't see it here, but this whole spring goes down in there too. Another thing that I'm missing, I think, on this one here, I've only seen it on the other ones though. There's a little metal tube that the parachute wraps around. It wasn't in there, so I'm assuming somebody threw it and it disappeared. Alright, so now, once all this is open here, you've got the firing device, which I got over here on this side. This here is what's located in here, and you can see the threads screw onto here. At this point, this is your firing device with your striker in it, and it's facing this way in the actual grenade. As you see, there's movement here. This is a lead ball, and this is your safety that's in it. This safety, I don't know if you could see it through there. There's 2 ball bearings, and that pin is keeping them from going inside the tube, which prevents it from moving further than this location here. That is your last safety that I was talking about. If you drop your grenade while this is still together like this, it won't go off. So that would be your last safety on it. This fuse, if you notice, it looks a lot like the way that the always fuse works, except it's only in one direction. But you have a heavy weight here. You've got 2 tubes that close on itself. And inside those tubes, you've got the firing set. Normally, when this is put together, you would have it in like that. This pin, which I could remove now, would actually be on the outside. This is installed inside here with the ball. And this pin, obviously, would sit on the outside of this. And the tube that's in here, that's moving back and forth, inside that tube is where this pin connects with this So it locks into that tube once it's installed. So as your drogue is deployed, pulls out like this, this pin pulls out and frees the mechanism that's here. Now, the mechanism that's here, I'll see if I have something I could use to set it off, but I'll just use the container here. So now that the thing's flying through the air here, and you've got the lead ball at the back, when it impacts the target, the lead ball continues pushing this. You see how it was able to fire? It fires because, I could take it apart now to show you. So one of my ball bearings just fell out. But here, there's a gap. So it lets the ball bearing go into that gap, and once that happens, it releases the striker. I had to make the striker so it doesn't look exactly like this. I haven't finished it. Maybe I'll at one point make, see if I could do this and make something to fire it with at one point maybe. But for the time being, I'll just keep it like this. Anyways, the ball bearings fit into here, much like the German stuff that you see during the Second World War. And that's what holds it in place until the ball bearings are able to slide into here and release that firing pin, which then goes into the blasting cap and primer setup that's in here, which then sets off the charge. So that is the basics on how that actually works. Pretty complex design, but at the same time, it's rather simple, I guess, for a device that could take out a vehicle with a bit of a standoff. You've obviously got a close range on this. It's not something you want to have to use, but at the time that it was designed, it was it was something somebody could actually use to take out a vehicle. So I think that's pretty much all I could talk about and how this thing actually works. So the first thing is you release the handle, this thing here. So you pull the pin, you're holding this, so no matter what, it doesn't fall apart. Even if you go to throw it and you don't actually, like, you abort your throw, it's not going to set anything off. Once you've released everything, this comes loose. The drogue chute deploys, which releases the last safety, which allows this whole setup to move fully in, which releases your striker, which then impacts your primer, setting off the detonator, the booster, and the rest of the explosive, which basically is a shaped charge. And that's what does the damage to the tank. As I said, a lot of the times you're seeing these things now being used in Ukraine is in a role as a bomb being dropped from a drone. In that case, basically, I'm going to probably make another video on how I think that they do this. There's a couple different models of it, but I'm going to attempt to explain how that's working. Anyways, I hope this explained this interesting little grenade to you guys. And if there's any questions, please leave them in the comments. And thanks for watching.